Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and I'm sitting outside here watching the birds, hanging out with Tornado, and I'm thinking about what sort of breeding arrangements I'm going to do for next year. The fall is a good time to think about that stuff because you have your grow outs coming of age. You may or may not have some more babies behind them, but you can really start digging into the evaluations and what came up better over the year before, or the year before that, or the year before that, for as long as you've been raising them. There's comparisons to pay attention to. Tornado is not the first big bird that I've hatched and raised, but it's been a little while since I had one, about 3 seasons ago. And I used that guy for breeding, but only briefly, and only with a couple of hens. And I did that because his leg color was pale, and his comb was so dramatically oversized. It flopped over farther than a French beret. He's really quite obnoxiously huge. So we're gonna wait and see what happens with Tornado's comb. Right now, it doesn't look scary, but he's young. Those other 2 guys, they're not gonna have that size. They're gonna be right smack in the bottom of standard. I don't expect them to get much past 7 pounds. And that's okay because they grew really well and they had really good fleshing. So their table qualities are still in there. But I have enough birds now to where I can contemplate splitting the line. And splitting the line is how you can maintain certain features. And you can have a pen for different things. So I'm thinking about using Tornado to be in charge of a pen for growth rate and size. I'm going to pay attention to the smaller details when I'm selecting which birds are going to go in that pen. So with him having pale legs, I'm going to look for the fastest growing, meatiest females with dark blue feet. Then in another pen, I want to keep the focus on pretty while also observing those table traits, because we can't let go of that. No matter how far into the standard you want to get from an exhibition standpoint, you absolutely cannot let go of those table traits. It'll burn you in the end, because pretty is as pretty does. But that's why I like these 2 guys. They have function and they're prettier. I haven't finalized the female choices yet, and I'm going to pair hatch from them for sure, so I can track who produced the best of both worlds. In another pen, that's going to be more of a laying line, where I'm going to take my medium-sized females, put them with a boy who hatched from a fantastic layer. That guy's off in another pen. We can't see him right now. But that'll keep all my bases covered between the table aspects and having a bigger bird. The laying aspects will be a focus, and then the pretty ones. And because they are derived out of the same family of birds, I can flip-flop breeding back and forth. So if I start to see I'm losing a little bit of laying qualities in my table birds, I can just flip pens and recapture that the following season. But I want to gear this in such a way that I have everything covered, with of course spares and extras just in case. But in this way, I'm going to be able to build up a sustainable little group, and I'm never going to have to worry about bringing in new genetics again, unless I screw something up. Or if we have a catastrophic loss, like when we had that tornado that came through over the summer. If that thing would have been 3/4 of a mile closer, this barn wouldn't even be standing here. let alone any birds in it still. They would have gone over the rainbow, ended up in Oz. And I'd have to start all over. And that starting over aspect is something else I wanted to talk briefly about. I don't like to part with my birds. I like to watch everything grow. We don't sell hatching eggs. We don't sell baby chicks. I want to collect all that flock data. But I also can't totally be greedy either, because if I don't share birds, at least locally, I might not be able to get back into the genetics I've been working on if something happens to mine. And then the way that you think of that is by having seed flocks. And the seed flock is where you've helped someone else get going. And then if you need to, you can go get a little refill from them too. And the more seed flocks that you have, the better equipped the whole group of you are going to be in terms of keeping the supply of the cultivated genetics. Because once you've reached a point in your flock to where they're reliable and you've got everything covered and they're healthy, they're going along great, you don't want to lose it, you don't want to start all over. Fall is also the time when I'm thinking about seed flocks and where all they could end up. It's where I figure out who I might actually send some eggs to out of some very specific groups that following season. Always thinking. But I've already got a list of folks that I'm going to be working with. That's exciting stuff. When I find somebody else who has the passion and the desire to do right by the birds and to do it for the birds.